There are times in a campaign when you might not find an ancestry that just kind of hits that sweet spot on what you want to do, or maybe you're coming up with your own homebrew campaign and you want to give your players more options. There are ways in order to create new ancestries that would be kind of pertinent to your campaign in general, and there's a way to do it in Path Builder as well. So we're going to go ahead and kind of break this down into two sections, basically on creating an ancestry, what is involved in an ancestry, and then actually bringing that into Path Builder. So my name is Don. I'm trying to be the theSlyStrategist, and let's go ahead and get into it. Now, in part one of this video, I just kind of want to cover the basic statistics, and then we can go ahead and talk about what you need to have in order to put it into Path Builder itself. So we're going to be covering basically hit points, size, speed, the attribute boosts, the attribute flaws, languages, traits, special abilities. Let's go ahead and start with hit points. When you're trying to define the hit points for your ancestry, you're basically defining how many hit points the character gains from just their ancestry at level 1. You're also going to be adding hit points from the character's class as well as whatever constitution modifier to this number as you kind of go on, but it is generally going to be either 6, 8, or 10. We can use an example basically from the common ancestries. If you have a goblin, it is going to have 6 hit points. If you have a human, it is going to have 8. And if you have a high constitution ancestry like a dwarf, it is going to be 10. Now, it might not necessarily relate to what you might think in your head. If you look at one of the rare ancestries like dragon, they start out with 8 hit points, at least in Path Builder. So you would more think about the durability and the constitution of the type of ancestry you are trying to create. The next thing you'd want to determine is basically the size of the ancestry that you're trying to create. If you can think of it this way, a medium is pretty much going to be a human. So if you decide for it to be at least half the height of a human or half the size of a human, then it would be small. If you would consider it larger, then it would be large. Now, there aren't necessarily too many mechanical benefits or detractions to doing small, medium, or large. It is pretty much a descriptor. Once you start getting into other sizes like gargantuan or huge, there are more considerations there, but for playable ancestry, it is probably going to be small, medium, or large. And usually most ancestries are going to be small or medium. Even dragons start out as small or medium. However, there are some new ancestries that are going to be coming into the remaster, like the centaur, that are going to be large size, so it is a possibility. Now, the next thing to consider is the speed of the ancestry that you want to create. Not only your land speed, but whether we'll have a swim speed or a fly speed, things along those lines. So this could be related to the size of the creature. Generally speaking, a smaller creature will probably have a lower land speed than a medium or large creature. However, it might not necessarily be the case. If you wanted to create a very agile race that was small but had multiple legs, they might actually have a very fast land speed or a very fast climb speed. It just kind of depends on what you would like to bring into your ancestry. The next thing to consider are the attribute boosts, or in the pre-remaster, ability boosts. These are going to be kind of the things that you feel that your ancestry is going to be very good at. Most ancestries are going to provide attribute boosts to 2 specified ability scores, plus 1 free attribute boost that you can apply to any other score of your choice. These would be kind of the things that would define your particular ancestry. If you wanted an ancestry that had 10 hit points starting out, they would probably have Constitution as an attribute boost. If you wanted an extremely strong ancestry, then you would probably use Strength. If you wanted to have once again, we can go back to that small-sized creature that had a large land speed, they might have a very good Dexterity. But there are different things that you would take into consideration when you're trying to define what your attribute boosts are going to be. On the other side of that is the attribute flaw, and it lists the attribute score to which you would apply an attribute flaw when creating the character in whatever ancestry you're trying to create with. If they get 2 things that they're good at, try to think of 1 thing they may be bad at. If you have that small character that has high agility in order to have a really good land speed, well, they might have a constitution flaw or a strength flaw to make up for the fact that they are so fast and speedy and agile. If you had a creature with a very good constitution, they might be weak in wisdom. Or if you had a creature that was very strong, they might not be very intelligent. So these would be the things that you would think of in order to kind of balance out the attributes of your new ancestry. The next thing you would come up would be the languages. Now, the language could just be common that is spoken on Galarian every single day, or it could be a ancestry language or a language that is very specific to their region that they are in. But in general, it will tell you the languages that the members of the ancestry basically speak at first level. And this would be your average member of that particular ancestry. It doesn't take into account intelligence modifier of +1 or higher, allowing you to select more languages. This would just be the language that they would speak before they began adventuring. The next thing you would come up would be the traits of that particular ancestry. In general, it is not going to have a mechanical benefit, but it's kind of important for determining how certain spells, effects, and things of that nature would interact with your character. A good example of this is a Leshy. A Leshy might be humanoid, but it is also a plant, and it has the plant trait, where most of your other ancestries are going to be humanoid. If you wanted to create that small, agile, speedy, centipede-like ancestry, then they might not be humanoid and might have an insect trait. But this would just tell you how the things that occur in a campaign would interact with that particular ancestry. The next thing that you would consider would be the ancestry's special abilities. So these would be other entries that give you additional abilities, senses, or some other qualities that any member of this particular ancestry would have, but can't be defined in another area of the ancestry entries. This would be things like whether they have dark vision or low light vision, if they have tremor sense as an imprecise sense, or whether they have a sense of smell as an imprecise sense. It could also be things along the lines of special attacks they get because they have fangs or claws, and these could be special attacks. So it could be anything that really defines part of your ancestry that isn't part of one of the other categories. Now, I do hope those brief little kind of definitions onto what makes up an ancestry kind of gave you a clue about what we're going to be looking into when we're trying to create this ancestry and then bring it into Path Builder so you can create a character. But I do hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, feel free to like, subscribe, or hit that notification bell. But whatever you do, I hope you have a great day and happy adventuring. Thanks.